Alright class, we're on to chapter 12, section 5 over volumes of pyramids and cones. So a pyramid is a 3D shape with triangular sides that come together to a point. So that is a pyramid. A cone is a 3D object that has a circular base joined to a point by a curved side. And our last definition is a composite solid. And these are solids that are made up of two or more (3D) geometric shapes. So those are our three definitions for 12.5 for pyramid, cone, and composite solid. So resuming, we have the volume of a pyramid for our core concept. And the volume of a pyramid is 1/3 the base area, or the area of the base, and the height of the prism itself. And so for our first example, we have a triangular pyramid. I know it looks very much like a kite. However, this is kind of like a 3D figure. This is the base behind it. So volume is 1/3 the base times the height. Now the base of the triangle itself, or the pyramid itself, is a triangle. So we have 1/2 little base times the height, and the height of the the base of the pyramid is going to be 4, and the height of the pyramid is 6. And so total, the base area of the triangle itself is 12. So now we can plug it in. So I have 1/3 12. The height of the prism itself is 9. And so we end up with a total of 36. So that is the first example for volume of a pyramid. Now for the volume of a cone, we have 1/3 the base times the height. So same concept, except the area is already given to you. Because a cone has a circle, we are using the area of a circle. So for this example, we have a slanted cone, and we have 1/3 its big base times the little height, or 1/3 pi r squared times the height. And r in this case is 2.2. So we're going to square it, and our height is 4.5. And then when we put this in terms of pi, we end up with 7.26 pi. So that is identifying the radius, identifying your height, in order to plug it in for the volume of a cone. So if you flip on to the next page, we will try some example problems. So let's go on to our extra practice page. And so for exercises 1 and 2, you got to find the volume of the pyramid. So finding the volume of this pyramid, remember we're using the volume equals 1/3 the base of that pyramid times the height of the prism. So for question 1, we have volume, we have 1/3, and now the base of the prism itself in this case is a triangle. So remember that's 1/2 base times height. So we have 1/2 the base is going to be 6, and the height of the triangle itself is 4. And so we end up with 6 times 4 is 24, divided by 2 gives us 12. So now our base is 12, and the height of the prism itself is 9, and we end up with 36, very similar to our previous example. So number 2, we have something a little different here. Now our base is no longer a triangle, our base is now a square. because two sides are the same. So we have 1/3, and we need to find B. So base B, remember, is a square. So we have 6 and 6 for our bases. So for a square, it's base times height. So 6 times 6, which gives us 36 for the base. And then multiply it by the height of the prism, which gives us 8. So 1/3 times 36 times 8 gives us 96. For question 3, we need to find the volume of the cone. And the volume of a cone, remember, is 1/3 pi r squared times the height. So we have 1/3, we have pi, and r is 3, so 3 squared, and then the height is 5, or the height is 4. They gave you the slant height, but that is no longer needed. So we have 1/3 pi r squared, or 3 squared times 4, and we end up with 12 pi. So they gave us the slant, however, we did not need that at this moment. So number 4, we have a right cone that has a radius of 5 and a slant height of 13. So let's draw a cone. No, it is not perfect, but we do know it has a radius of 5 and it has a slant height of 13. So remember, the slant height goes from the corner all the way to the edge of the cone. And so for the volume, we do know we need the height. So volume is 1/3 pi r squared times the height, and height's what we need. Lucky for us, we made a right triangle, so we can use the Pythagorean theorem. And because we have a missing leg, we're going to subtract. So we have 13 squared minus 5 squared, and we end up with 12. So the height is 12. So we have 1/3 pi, and then we have r, which we know is 5 squared, and then we have the height as 12. And all together we get 100 pi. So we go on to the next page where we will continue with extra practice. So moving on to our next page, we have a pyramid with a square base, and it has a volume of 128 cubic inches and a height of 6 inches. We want to find the side length of the square base. This is where we have to find some missing variables. So, you know the volume of a pyramid, so we know we're using 1/3 the base times the height. So we already know 128 is given to us, 1/3 is still kept. Now we're talking about a square. So when we have a square, remember we are taking S times S. S meaning however long that measure is, and so when we're taking the base, we know we're taking S times S, also known as S squared. So that is for the area, so we're going to call this S squared for the base, and then the height, which is already given to us, is 6 inches. So to simplify this, we can do 6 divided by 3, and we end up with 2s squared, and we're going to divide by 2. So 128 divided by 2 gives us 64, and then remember, if we want to get rid of a square, we can always square root both sides. And so S, or each side length for the base of the pyramid, is 8. For number 6, we have a pyramid with a rectangular base that has a volume of 6. So I'm going to draw a picture for this one. You're more than welcome to draw a picture for each one. It is not necessary, but it does help give the visual learner what they're looking at. So we have the volume of 6, and we're still talking about a pyramid. And so we still have 1/3 involved, and it says the volume of 6 cubic feet. The length of the rectangular base is 3, and the width of the base is 1.5. We want to find the height of the pyramid, so we need to find this measure here. So we need to find that height of the pyramid. So remember, the base of a rectangle is base times height. So we have 3 times 1.5. So remember, for that kind of base, we got to keep that. So we have 1/3 the base itself times the 1.5, and then the height, which will keep as h, is what we're looking for. Lucky enough for us, the 3 and the 1/3 will cancel out. So I have 6 equal to 1.5 h. And when I divide by 1.5, the height of our prism, or our pyramid, is 4. Okay, moving on to number 7. We have a right cone that has a volume of 528 cubic meters and a diameter of 12, and we want to find the height. So we have a cone. We need to find the height of that cone, but we already know the diameter is 12. The volume is already given to us, and note we're talking about a cone, so the volume of a cone is 1/3 pi r squared times the height. So we've got to find the height. So we have 1/3, and our volume is already given to us as 528, and we have pi. Now 12 divided by 2 gives us the radius to be 6 on both sides. So we have 6 squared, and we want to find the height. So I have 528 equal to, we have 36 over 3. We end up with 12 pi times the height, and we can divide by 12 on both sides, and we end up with 44 equal to pi times h. We can divide by pi, and so we'll get h to be around 14.0, and we include the 0 because pi is more than just 3.14. Okay, so that is number 7, and then we're down to our last example. Is find the volume of the composite solid. So we have 2 cones here, so remember that, 2 cones. So let's talk about the top cone. So we have 1/3 pi r squared times the height. So we have 1/3 pi r, in this case, is 7, so we have 7 squared, and the height of the top cone is 6. So we end up with 98 pi. Now if we want the bottom cone, we have 1/3 pi r squared times the height. 1/3 pi, and r in this case is still 7, so we're squaring that, and our height of the bottom cone is 10. So we end up with 163.3 pi. And because we want the entire volume, we're going to add both of these together. So we have 98 pi plus 163.3 pi, and we end up with 261.34 pi. So that is the volume of our composite figure. And that concludes 12.5, or the volumes of pyramids and cones. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you have any questions, I have tutoring from 3 to 4 Wednesday and Thursday, as well as at 6:50 every morning. Thank you so much.